what can we do to make Gemini smarter here? If you think about the kind of things that you would have in memory in a tool like ChatGPT, Gemini doesn't have memory yet. Google are going to take a different approach to memory, and instead of storing memories inside Gemini, what Google are going to do is they're just going to look at everything in your Google account. So they're just going to go to every single Google query you've ever done, every single Gemini query you've ever done, probably read your emails and everything, and just use that as context for its generation from your prompts. Now, to my knowledge, that's not yet been switched on and activated. But if you want to go and see where the kind of training data is going to be coming from, then you'll want to go to your Google account. And so if you go to myaccount.google.com, and here, if you go to your web and data history, got a feeling it's in data and privacy, my activity, I think that's where it's going to take it from. Here we go. Cool. So in my activity, you'll see here, it's even showing me, web pages that I've opened. So all of my history, showing me searches that I've done. It will actually bring in your commands for Gemini, but I've got a feeling those Gemini commands, because I'm on a workspace account, are still hidden inside my workspace history. And that's the point. Google's going to be exposing those to the activity stream. And therefore, Gemini, when you make a command in the future, is going to use all of that Gemini, all of that activity stream as context for what it generates for you. So it won't need a memory system in a sense. It'll just use everything it knows about you and all of your history. Now, pretty creepy, yes, but good reason to have a personal account in Google World and a business account in Google World, because you probably don't want crossover between your personal or your family or things that are outside of work mode coming into queries that you're making when you're in work mode. But it's not released yet. It'll be there soon. Don't know when it's arriving for Google Workspace accounts. We're holding out for this because once that arrives, I think that's really going to fill in the blank of one of the most important things that Gemini is missing that Claude and ChatGPT have done really well. Claude does it a bit differently in that it doesn't have memory as such, but it has projects. And so you can make a project file, and that'll allow you to re-query things and it will retain that context. Whereas Gemini, if I say, hey, tell me about some chats I had with you last week, it won't be able to do that right now. If I say to Gemini, hey, I want you to create a position description for a new role that I want to hire, well, Gemini is going to have to be fed information about our business. It's going to have to be fed information about the responsibilities. It's going to have to be fed information about our brand and how we want to represent ourselves and what our copywriting guidelines are. It's got to be fed all that information each time at the moment, which is a bit annoying, but fingers crossed they get that feature launched soon. I think it's coming out to personal accounts. If not now, then soon. They've already announced it. It'll take some more time before it comes to the workspace accounts because they're business accounts and data protection and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Cool. But let's jump into the next cool thing that I wanted to cover, and that is gems. Now, you may have noticed on the left-hand menu here, when you have worked inside of Gemini, you've got the option to explore something called gems. Now, gems are, think of them like a specialized bot. And that specialized bot has been given a certain training, maybe a certain amount of context. And then that gem can give you answers based on the knowledge and based on the context that it has. Now, we covered something a little bit like this with Notebook LM. Notebook LM lets you upload a series of sources, and inside your notebook, once you've added your sources to the notebook, you can run queries, you can generate content, and it uses, I guess, a kind of like walled garden, right? A set of closed sources to give you your answers. Now, gems work a little bit like that in that you can feed them context that they will remember. So it's almost like a memory type feature, but you can feed a gem context and it's going to remember that context. And once you've trained your gem, then you can use that gem in a number of different places. Now, some of these features are brand new, so I'm going to be testing them for the first time, but I did make my own gem recently just to test it out and see how it worked. Now, there's one key thing that's really missing with gems at the moment that Google have not yet released. I do recommend you start one, maybe even follow along here. If you're in front of your computer, you want to have a go at it yourself. The feature that's missing right now is the ability to share gems. What I really want is to be able to train one of these gems and then share it with my colleagues. I can do that in the API platform of Google pretty easily, but being able to do it in the front-end interface of Gemini is going to make things much easier for my staff to be able to create and train a gem and then give it to other people. What I'm imagining is my head of people creating a gem around standard operating procedures or creating a gem around our internal staff policies and then sharing that with the team. And the HR manager is therefore the person responsible for maintaining that, right? Or I might want a sales manager to create a gem for sales training and sales evaluation for their sales team. And what I would imagine is a salesperson finishes a sales call with a prospective customer and they take the transcript from their call and they feed it into the gem and they say, hey, how did I go? How did I go based on the principles of how we want to sell at itGenius? Where were my weak spots? Was that a productive call or not? Where could I potentially improve myself? It means the sales manager doesn't have to do that manually for each person. The sales manager just has to architect the right bot, basically. It's called a gem, but it's basically a bit of a bot. So these are going to be around the corner. You'll be able to share them. Right now, you create it and you're the only one who can use it, which is a bit of a bummer. But anyway, it is what it is. Let's have a look at how to create a gem. So when sharing is enabled, you'll be ready to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new gem. Here we go. And you can see here, first things first, we need to give the gem a name. So maybe we'll call it Sales Evaluation Bot. Cool. And I want to give it instructions, right? So what I want to do is say, you are an experienced sales manager who is highly proficient in training salespeople with an ethical sales approach, which also gets great commercial results for the business that you're employed by. You want to have a quick way of evaluating sales calls with customers and giving instant feedback to your sales representatives so they know if they're doing a good job or not based on the principles of salespersonship that you have espoused to the team. All right, cool. So that's a bit of a brief of like what we want the bot to do, right? So I've got that down there. You can also use Gemini to rewrite instructions. So I'm just going to click the Gemini button and see what happens there. Wow, okay, cool. So Gemini has expanded on it. So it's given it purpose and goals, behaviors and rules. There we go. So it's going to ask the person to provide a transcript. Okay, so I guess it's going to like lead the way and get the information that it needs. It's going to do an evaluation process, feedback delivery, maintain a conversational and encouraging tone, focus on development. There we go. Wow. You know, all the things that I could have thought of, but there you go. All right. So my rule with Gemini is basically ask it dumb questions and let it do the thinking for you. Okay. So, and it's given it directions on overall tone. Well, that looks fantastic. Okay. So next we add a knowledge base. So here's where we start to give it files to reference. Now, this is a little bit sneaky, but basically you can steal anybody's IP anywhere on the internet now with these LLM tools. So I would say something like, give me a comprehensive guide of everything you know of Sandler sales training for my sales consultants, right? And this is going to go and do research on the internet based on publicly available information and give me a sales guide. Now, like it or don't like it, ethical or not ethical, that you'll have to work out yourself. This is the knowledge that we have available and accessible to us now. And there's another ethical conversation we can put to the side for the moment, but this is just a hack. There's some really valuable IP, and it's going to create a guide. Here we go. All right, mastering the conversation, it's calling it. Now, I'm just going to double check this is actually correct because I have paid for sales training many, many years ago. Great. Okay, yeah, this looks correct. All right, so it's got a guide coming together. Wonderful. Okay, so we've got the guide. So I'm going to grab this guide and I'm just going to drop that into a Google Doc. Here we go. Share to a Google Doc. All right, cool. Okay, so it's created a Google Doc. All right, cool. So we've got the guide, and then we're going to go back to the gem. Here we go. And I'm going to add this as knowledge. So I'll say add from Drive, and that's going to let me just link that file straight in. There we go. Okay, cool. So if you're a business leader, imagine how much time that would have taken to do that manually. Having to use your brain basically, and we can just generate this now. Okay, cool. So we've got some knowledge that we've added to the bot. I would also probably say we need an SOP for sales, right? We'd probably also have an SOP internally. So let's go back here. Give me a sales SOP for a sales team selling the services of itgenius.com, which is a Google Workspace value-added reseller and small business IT support service. This guide should cover what qualification criteria are needed for small businesses between 3 and 100 employees to be sold or influenced into our services by solving the business challenges that they have and aligning them to valuable products that we sell. All right, cool. So I think that's pretty good. That's a lot of context. And let's get our SOP in here. So what we're doing is when we're providing these multiple bits of context to the gem, what it's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to use this in different places. And with this gem, it's going to have the context not only of what the training or the competency is, but also what are the rules. An SOP should outline like who we're going to sell to, who we're not going to sell to, you know, what's the qualification criteria. They're all of our like how to do the job. And then the competency is the skills of like, how are you as a salesperson? You know, what's your salespersonship, and how do you make sure you have the right nuance, right? So this is also looking pretty good. Here we go. Go, no-go, qualification criteria. Awesome.
If you liked this video, we've got plenty more on the channel covering this topic and much, much more.